What's going on, everyone? It's Dave from Smart Fitness, and today I want to talk to you guys about sources of where you can get protein that'll be lean, it'll be healthy for you. So let's get started. Obviously, we all know about our meat sources, so I'm going to write down everything that I've talked about here on this board. But I want to talk about more than just meat sources. So obviously, you've got your chicken, and you've got your steak, or beef we'll call it. Now, when we're talking about beef, let's make sure that we're getting a lean cut piece of meat. There's nothing wrong with having the occasional fat piece of meat, but if you're getting something that's literally 20 grams of protein and 18 grams of fat, you're really not helping your body, especially if you're trying to lose weight or lose fat, you're not really going to make much of a case for yourself. Now, I know that there's specific sausages out there. Like Johnsonville, they make certain sausages where it's 16 grams of protein and 19 grams of fat. Is that good for you? You tell me, guys. Obviously, I don't think it's good for you, especially when it's pretty much pure saturated fat. It's not exactly the best source. So you've got your chicken, you've got your steak, you've got your fish. Fish and chicken are excellent for you. They're both lean sources of meat. Both of them have relatively no fat, and the fat that they do have is healthy fats for you. It's not saturated, it's not a trans fat. It's good sources of meat. They're easy to consume, and best of all, they're not expensive. Next, we're going to talk about something called turkey. Now, we eat turkey, obviously, on Thanksgiving, and some of us have it on Christmas, other of us have it on Easter. But what some of you may not know is turkey is actually a decently lean piece of meat. Now, people who say that turkey makes them tired, that is a load of bull. Turkey doesn't make you tired at all, doesn't make you groggy. It's the fact that you're over-consuming. A lot of people tend to have turkey on Thanksgiving when they've probably gone over the calories for the day, or even in some cases, for some people, more than they have in 2 days. So no, turkey is not bad. Turkey is good. Now, let's talk about non-meat sources. So obviously, you've got your eggs. But I want to talk about eggs here. Eggs are high in cholesterol. If you have 2 eggs, it pretty much hits your 300 milligrams of cholesterol. No matter what your weight is, you should not be consuming more than 300 milligrams of cholesterol. Contrary to what other people say, when you have high cholesterol in your diet, your arteries get clogged or blocked, depending on your scientific understanding, and you're going to have problems breathing. You have a higher risk of a heart attack, stroke. It's just generally not good, so why would you want to attack your body with that? Some studies show that it helps raise testosterone, but do you really want to chance raising your testosterone with giving yourself a heart attack? To me, it doesn't make sense. So as a result of having eggs, why not make them egg whites? You basically get rid of the fats that you have. Eggs have healthy fats, but again, the cholesterol. So it gets rid of the egg, the yolk part of it, for those of you that have never bought canned egg whites or cartoned egg whites, and it essentially leaves you with protein with minimal calories. For one serving, it's roughly 7 grams of protein and like 60 calories. You can't go wrong with that, guys. And there's 0 fat in it. It's a good source. It's easy. Next, we're going to talk about milk. For those of you that are lactose intolerant, there's lactose-free options. Milk needs to be consumed. It's got quick digesting carbohydrates you can have in post-workout. For each cup, it has roughly 8 grams of protein. So it's a pretty simple source to get protein. You have 2 cups, you're up to 20 grams right there. Most of us are consuming on protein as it is. So what I would suggest is cut down on your red meats, especially if you're trying to lose weight, and choose healthier options for your protein sources, healthier non-meat options in some cases. Sticking with milk, there's other milk products like cottage cheese and Greek yogurt. Cottage cheese has roughly 15 grams of protein per serving, which is, most servings are half a cup, and again, you can get that lactose-free. Same with Greek yogurt, you can get that lactose-free. That's more or less the same macros as milk would be. They have next to no fat in Greek yogurt. You can get 0 fat options. You can get 2% options as well. Just fit it into your macros. Roughly 14 grams of protein, 15 grams of carbs per 150, so a little bit more than half a cup type servings. Next, we're going to move on to vegetables. You've got lentils, and peas. Both of these aren't exactly high sources of protein, but obviously when you're having some sort of vegetable type source, it's not going to be nearly as high as it would be for meat. Meat sources are high in protein because literally it's all it is. It's protein, carbs, fats, high in meats. Just Just like the human body, if you were to eat a piece of your flesh, like a muscle, it's lean meat. It's the same premise. Animals are protein, carbs, and fat. Humans are protein, carbs, and fat. It's the exact same premise. So lentils and peas. Lentils have a lot of vitamins and minerals in them. That's why I would suggest eating lentils over stuffing yourself with loads of peas. They're higher gram for gram, and they don't taste that bad, guys. You can pretty much put it in whatever you want and it'll taste decent. Next, we're going to talk about peanut butter. Or nut butters in general, for those of you that are allergic. So peanut butter and almond butter have roughly the same macronutrients, where 1 tablespoon is about 8 grams of fat, 4 grams of protein. It's not high in protein in comparison to meat sources or in comparison to dairy sources, but in comparison to nut sources, such as tree nuts or walnuts, nuts such as almond butter and peanut butter are substantially higher. They are also good sources of fats. I'm not going to get into too much of the detail here, but they're pretty much the omega-3, omega-6 fats, very little saturated fats. They're decently sourced for you. Plus, realistically, if you're having 1 tablespoon, which is roughly 15 grams, that's like that much, and you're getting 4 grams. That's pretty substantial. If you were to have 4 of those, granted, you'd be increasing your fat. 4 times 3 is 12. That's a decent source of protein. So, let's summarize this here for you guys. I'm only talking about a few sources. I wanted to give you a quick little introduction of foods you could be eating. Obviously, there is more to it than that. Like, there's certain cereals that are high in protein. Cashew cereal, if you have 2 servings of that, it's roughly 15 grams of protein. And you haven't even had any meat, you've had pretty much your entire day of fiber right then and there. And for those of you that don't know, I think fiber is very important. Check out my other video on why you need fiber. So, cereals are high in protein, depending on the cereal you eat. If you have something like Fruit Loops, come on, let's be real, you're not going to get anything useful out of that. So, you got chicken and you got fish. For meat sources, go-tos. They're cheap. They taste good. You can do lots with it. Turkey. Turkey is good. Turkey does not make you tired. Red meat. North Americans eat a lot more red meat than they need to, but it's not exactly the best thing for you, especially when a lot of red meats are high in saturated fats, high in fats in general. Now, some of you may be noticing here, I left pork off this list. I do not like pork. Pork is high in protein. Pork is exceptionally high in fat. You can get lean pork, but at the same time, it still has a high content of fat. It's not exactly that cheap either. I would stay away from it. Some of you may enjoy pork, so occasionally have it, but that's just my take on it. Now, I didn't really go into too much detail on fish. There's certain fish that are high in fats, but there's also a lot of lean fish. Steak or fish such as halibut, tuna, salmon, they're lean cut pieces of fish. Obviously, salmon's going to have a higher fat content than tuna. Tuna's got pretty much 0 fat in it per can. But if you're getting 30 grams of protein in one little can, that's pretty good right there. For some people, especially if you're only like 150 pounds, that could be like roughly a fifth of your protein for the day. It's a pretty easy source to get it in. Moving on, talked about nut butters. For those of you with allergies, almond butter, pea butter. There's pretty much a butter out there for everything, guys. Just go to your local grocery store, take a look. Decent sources. Milk sources. Milk sources in general, milk and alternatives, such as yogurts, cottage cheese. You can get these with no fat, they're good for you. Egg whites. Eggs are high in cholesterol. Have 1 egg, 2 or 3 egg whites. You got yourself roughly 15 to 20 grams of protein just from your eggs. And lentils and peas. I'm not going too much into detail here about vegetable sources, because obviously you have to eat a substantial amount of vegetable sources in order to get your protein quantities, especially if you're a vegetarian. It does become difficult. It is doable, but it's difficult. Now, some of you may have noticed as well, I'll have protein powder off this list. I do not believe that you need a supplementation unless your life is too busy or you're too lazy to make yourself a meal. I take a protein supplement after a workout and on days when I'm exceptionally busy. If you're literally having 2 scoops a day, that's supplementing 60 grams of protein that you could be getting from these sources. There's next to no vitamins and minerals in protein supplements. They're high in B12, but every single meat source is. They're relatively high in some A vitamins, or some of the fat-soluble vitamins, such as A vitamins, and some B vitamins, but at the same time, it's not exactly the best source. It's called a protein supplement for a reason. You supplement it with other food. So I would try to stay away from it unless you absolutely need to take it. I'm not saying don't take a protein supplement. I'm just saying don't make it your main source of protein. All right, guys, I don't want to keep you here any longer. Let me know what you think. Let me know how you're doing. Comment and subscribe. Stay strong.